Okay, also, I want to give you guys my top five teams in the Power Four of college football. So, first and foremost, starting with the SEC, I'm going to say number one, Georgia. They have been a proven team. They did lose to Alabama earlier in the year, but they barely lost that game. And we seen what they did to Texas. We also seen what they did to Clemson earlier in the year. My number two team, I'm going to say the Texas Longhorns. They are a really good team. They did lose to Georgia. I think it was just one of those things where they hadn't seen that type of speed and they just weren't ready for it. But I think maybe in a revenge game, they may be actually ready for it. My number three team would be the Tennessee Vols. I think they're a really good team. They're playing well, and their only loss to Arkansas was a close loss. Then my number four team is the LSU Tigers. LSU has played very well. Their only loss was to USC, and that game was actually a close game. I think they will actually do a good job the rest of the way. Then, lastly, number five, I would say Alabama. Even though Alabama did lose to Tennessee, the game was close. The game against Vanderbilt was a close game. A lot of people are down on Alabama, but this may be the opportunity for them to actually rise back up. So I'm going to put them at number five. As far as the Big 12, I will say starting at number one, top of that league, I will put BYU. BYU is still undefeated. BYU is looking really good, and we'll just see how they actually do the rest of the way. Another team that's still undefeated in that conference and undefeated overall is Iowa State. I think they're a really good team so far, but a lot of people don't think they really played anybody, but we'll see down the stretch how they actually do. My number three team, I will put Kansas State. Kansas State is a really good team out there in the Big 12, and I think Kansas State can actually possibly make it into the championship game. Then my number four team, I'm going to put Colorado there. I think Primus did an excellent job with this team, and I think they will continue to do well. But my number five team is Cincinnati, which Cincinnati has a chance to prove themselves to possibly be better than number five because they play up against Colorado. The game will be in Colorado, but I do think Cincinnati will lose this game. But they may prove me wrong. We'll see. Then, if we move on to the Big Ten, I will put Oregon at number one after their win over Ohio State. I'm going to put Ohio State at number two. I think Ohio State, even though they lost that game in Oregon, I think they could have actually beat them, and the game was really close. I think in a rematch on a neutral turf, they may actually win. So that's why I have them at number two, where I have number three, Penn State, which Penn State I just have to see them beat Ohio State. Maybe they can prove me wrong, but I feel like, they are almost there. They really good team the last couple of years, but they just can't seem to get over the hump of Ohio State and Michigan. So until they prove me wrong, I'll put Ohio State above them. So that's why I have them at number three. At number four, I have Indiana. They're undefeated. They're looking really good. A lot of teams just can't seem to figure this team out, and until they lose, I think they'll keep moving on up. Then, lastly, I have a number five, Illinois. I always liked the Illinois coach, even when he was at Wisconsin. He did a good job at Arkansas until they got rid of him. And I think he's doing a good job at Illinois. And I think they are the number five team in the Big Ten. Lastly, but not least, the ACC. In this conference, I think Miami is number one. Miami keeps pulling off these wins. I think their quarterback is a really good quarterback, and until somebody knocks them off that hill, they will be number one. At number two, I do have Clemson. Clemson's only loss was to Georgia, but I mean, if you put Georgia against anybody, they would probably beat anybody. But Clemson did play pretty good the first half in that game. So I have Clemson as number two in the ACC. At number three, I have Pittsburgh, who has not actually lost a game and is still undefeated. They're looking very good, and until somebody beats them, I think it's best to say that they're in the top five in this conference. At number four, I do have Duke. I'm gonna go with Duke at number four. Duke has been just surprising us ever since last year, and then even this year. The way that they lost their head coach, but they got a new coach and they're still doing good. So I'm gonna put Duke at number four, but they are gonna have to prove themselves against the number five team, which is SMU. SMU did a whole lot to get into the ACC, and now that they're there playing with the big boys, they're showing that this is where they should actually be. And they have a chance to go on the road and beat Duke. And if they beat Duke, I think you're going to start hearing more talks about them as far as them possibly being a team that plays for the championship for the ACC, because they are playing that well. So those are my top five according to right now in college football. But once again, if you can, check out my website and the link below and shop for some clothes, some gear, some hats, t-shirts, women wear, children's wear, any kind of wear that you may need. All right, take care.